Well, today's video is sponsored by Black Gold Compost Company. I want to thank the folks over at Black Gold for the generous donation of 18 pallets of black cow manure. This has really got me and Nancy off to a really good start in our garden this year. We can't thank you enough. And we've been using this product. I've been personally using it since 1980, and it's been a great product for me. I highly recommend it. Well, good morning, friends. It's time to get some onions in the ground. We'll be right back after the break. Well, welcome back, friends. What a beautiful day it is here in Florida in the middle of December, and I'm actually hot. I couldn't be happier. But anyway, today we're going to get started and get our onions in the ground. And since Nancy and I moved down here to Florida, we are no longer in the intermediate day onion zone. We're now in the short day onion zone. So I wanted to share with you today a beautiful little yellow onion that we're going to be planting this year, which is a short day onion. I know most of you already know this, but for you folks that are just planting onions for the first time, there's three varieties of onions. The first one is the short day onion, which is an onion that needs 10 to 12 hours of sunlight a day. And basically that's anything south of the 38th parallel. And what that really means is the deep south. So here in the deep south, we're a short day onion. We get 10 to 12 hours of sunlight a day. The intermediate zone is up like right about the middle of the country, right across there. That's going to give you 12 to 14 hours of sunlight a day. And then the long day onion is everything north of that. You know, that's where they get 14 to 16 hours a day of sun. So it's important that you put the right kind of onion in the zone that you're in, or they're just going to bolt. So what we're going to do is we're going to plant short day onions today, and the ones that we're using is called Texas Legend. This is a sweet yellow onion. It's a beautiful onion, really. The best time to plant these is about 6 weeks prior to the last predicted frost. And for me, I'm going to go even earlier than that, because these things take 105 days for maturity, which is about 15 weeks, right? So they'll tolerate some short periods of freezing temperatures, you know, like a couple of days of below 32 degrees. But they'll be just fine. They'll bounce right back. But if it's longer, like 5, 6 days of freezing temperatures, it's just going to cause them to bolt. So unless you live in Florida, I would say further north than Florida, then you want to stick to that 6 weeks prior to your last predicted frost date. The reason that I go in a little bit earlier by planting them in December is because I want to get these things out, like harvest them right around the last week of March, or maybe in the first week of April, somewhere in that time frame, because at that point they'll be fully mature and I can get them out on my drying racks out there and get them cured before the high humidity levels set in here in Florida, because with the high humidity levels, it'll be very, very difficult to try to cure my onions outside in these racks. But getting them in the way I do and harvesting them at the time of the year that I do, I shouldn't have a problem harvesting them. And we'll follow along with these little plants all the way until we do that, okay? So with these Texas Legends, you can expect yields of 5 to 6 inches on the globes of these onions. So that's a pretty good size onion. That'll fit a hamburger, won't it, baby? So the good thing about these onions is once you get them cured, they'll store 3 to 4 months with no problem at all. But anyway, here we are, Texas Legends. I got these at DixondaleFarms.com. I know a lot of you always ask me where I got my stuff. Dixondale Farms. It's online. Check it out. They got a good website. There's even a video on there I would like for you to check out if you do go to that website. It explains in detail a little bit better than what I just did about the three varieties of onions, the short day intermediate day, and long day. Check that video out. I think it'll help you learn a little bit better about onions. But anyway, let's get started on these. I'm going to plant these like I always do. I bought a case of them, and as you can see, they're live plants, and they're beautiful. 75 to 80 little seedling starts in each bunch, and I got a bunch of bunches. So what I do with these is I'll take these out, and I like to separate out. You've seen me do this before. I open up the bunch and I try to take the very biggest onion starts out of that bunch, and this is a pretty good looking bunch. They're all pretty good size, but I'll pick out the very large ones like this. See how big those are? And if you compare them to one of the little small ones, so you can see the difference. See the little skinny one? Here's a good size one. So what I do with these little teeny ones here is I plant these in little 1 gallon containers, and I let them grow up to be bunching onions, you know, little green onions, and we eat these all along the way as you know, salad onions, or Nancy uses them in all of her cooking stuff and things like that. So I don't waste any of them. They're all going to be used. So let me get these things all separated out, and we'll head over to the earth bed, and we'll plant these things together. So be right back. Here's the difference in what I'm separating out. This is what I call a big one. As you can see, it's got some pretty good diameter on that bulb. And here's one of the skinny ones. See the difference? And what I'll do with these this is the ones I'm going to make the bunching onions out of. These are the ones I'm going to plant in the earth bed over there to make big old hamburger onions. So that's how I separate them out right there. Well, I got them all separated out. This is a tray of big ones. It's a lot of them. And here's all the little ones. So I got plenty of little bunching onions and plenty of big hamburger onions. So let's head over to the earth bed, and we'll walk through the procedure of how I put these in the ground. So let's head over to the earth bed. Well, here we are over at the earth bed. This is the perimeter box bed that we built earlier in the summer, and we're gonna utilize this row right here all the way down, and also this row right here, all Texas Legend onion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread in some peat, a layer of peat in there, so give it just a little bit of peat, because my soil is so sandy. So I'm going to give it a little bit of peat to help retain some of the water and the moisture, and then I'm going to add in about a 2-inch layer of black cow manure all the way down on top of that peat on both beds. Then I'll take my little cultivator and I'll cultivate that all in and mix it real well. And I'll also add in bone meal, because I want the bone meal to promote that root growth. I really want a lot of root growth here. So I'm gonna go heavy on the bone meal, and I'll cultivate the bone meal, the cow, and the peat all together nice and smooth. And I'll grade it out with my grading rake and smooth it out where it doesn't have any low spots in it that collect water and cause rotten problems in the onion. And then I'm going to use my old seed template. I like to plant my onions about 5 inches apart, no closer than 5 inches. And I use this little template. Y'all have seen me use this many times before. Can you see that okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, here's my template. It's on 5-inch centers. It punches a hole in the ground about 1 inch deep. And I'll put my onions in using this template, and that gets them nice and spaced out, and it makes a good even row for me. It's a little deep to plant it in from what you're probably used to seeing people plant onions. They usually just plant just barely put the root in the ground, but I'm going to actually put this down about 1 inch deep and to get them to where they stand up nice and vertical. Then I'll always come back later after they get growing in about 3 or 4 weeks, and I'll ring them in, and we'll go through that when that time comes. But I know you've probably seen me do that on some other videos on how to grow onions, and this is the way I do it, and I've always had great success with it. I learned this when I was just a little kid from my daddy about ringing into onions. So we're going to do that again. And right now I just need to get started because I got a lot of work to do. So let's roll. Well, there we go. Me and Nancy got 900 Texas Legend yellow onions planted today. So we'll be back in the days ahead, and we'll watch the progression of these right on up to the day we cure them over into drying racks. But right now we're going to get them watered in. It's very important that you keep these moist, not saturated. So you want to don't let these dry out. You want to check this water moisture in this soil every morning. And for me, that's when I'm going to be watering them, is in the morning. So we'll get these watered in, and I guess we'll be back here shortly when these have got some growth and they're doing something, and we'll show you what they've done, and pretty soon it'll be time to ring them in, and we'll go through that process with you too. I'm sure you've seen it on some of our other videos, but we'll just keep on going with this whole process. So we'll be back soon. See you then. Well, our Texas Legends have been growing for about 3 weeks now. They're really making some good progress. The onions in the earth bed are doing great, as well as the ones over in the little containers that we're making, little salad bunching onions out of. But these are the earth bed onions that are going to grow up to be the nice big bulbs that will eventually dry out over in the drying racks. But just wanted to give you an update today to show you how pretty they're coming along. Looking good. Well, these are the little Texas Legends that we put in the little containers, to make into bunching onions, and we got a whole table full. So they're looking really good, and really they're not that far away from a time to where we can actually start cooking with them and eating them in salads and things. So I'd give these about two more weeks, and they're going to be ready for the table. So I'm really pleased with these, and we'll keep up with this progression of these beautiful Texas Legend onions all the way to the day we cure them and put them in the pantry. So we'll be back in a few weeks and give you another update then. Well, our onions have been growing for 10 weeks, and as you can see, they're really getting some good progress. And if you've seen any of our other onion videos, you'll always remember us what I call ringing in my onions. And all I'd use is an old kitchen knife that Nancy donated, and I bent the top of it 90 degrees so it's got about 1.5 inch flange on there. See? And I go right up to the onions, and I just ring in around the base of that onion and expose that bulb, get that soil back away from it real good. And that allows that bulb to swell up and get the nice big, hamburger size onions that you're really looking for. And this is an important step in the process, so always ring in your onions when you do that. And at this point, after I get them ringed in like that, I'm going to side dress all these onions with some blood meal to give it a little bit of a boost of nitrogen, because you remember 10 weeks ago when we planted these, we gave it a heavy dose of bone meal, which is a good shot of phosphorus. But right now what it needs is a shot of nitrogen to get the tops going and get everything on this plant nice and healthy. So let me side dress them, and we'll water them in, and we'll be back in a few more weeks and watch the progress of these bulbs, and now that we got them ringing in the bottoms. So let's get to it. All right, I got my blood meal. This is an organic nitrogen source. I'm going to take a handful of the blood meal, and all I do is go right around, just to side dress each one of the onions real carefully. It don't take a whole lot, maybe a teaspoon for each one of the onions, and they're off and running. Well, our Texas sweet onions are about the halfway point. They're getting some good height. As you can see, they're getting pretty big, and the bottoms are starting to form up the nice, beautiful bulbs on the bottom. We rung them in one time. That's really all we needed to do, and they're really getting somewhere now. So we'll be back in the days ahead, and we'll watch the development of these all the way up that they go in the drying rack. We'll see you soon. Well, our yellow sweet onions, Texas Legend, are really doing great. As you can see, they're waist high to me right now, and they're doing good. If you take a look close up here, you can see a couple of these onions here on the end, and they're starting to bulb up really nice. They're getting, they're as big as a baseball right now. So we're looking forward to the days ahead as these things continue to grow and continue to get bigger and bigger. This is a really sweet tasting onion. I'm looking forward to harvesting these big boys and enjoying them on a sandwich. So we'll be back in the days ahead, and we'll be looking for signs that these are ready to harvest. So we'll be back soon. Well, today's May the 19th, and we planted these onions on December the 6th. So do the math. They are now ready. They're starting to lay over. As you can see, the top's starting to fall over like this. That's a telltale sign that it's harvest time. So today we're going to get these onions up out the ground, and we're going to get them over in the drying rack and get them drying. So. Oh, we got her done, didn't we?
Uh-huh.
I tell you what, the older we get, the harder that gets to do. Anyway, we got the onions up, and we got both drying racks are packed out, and we put all the big ones in the drying racks, and we're going to dry them out and cure them, and we'll be back in about a week, and we'll take it to the next step. Those will be ready for long-term storage. Then we've got a bunch of the little ones. We just saved out the little ones, and we're going to wash these up and peel them, and these are ready to eat right now. So we got they're all ready to eat right now, but we're just going to use these for cooking and eating, and our neighbor wants some, and you know, friends and Nancy's mama, I mean, family. So anybody that wants some onions, we got 'em. This is a really good yellow, sweet yellow onion. It's my favorite onion for cooking with. So it's a great cooking onion. So we got those ready, and we tied up some bunches of the little small ones with a little you know, garden twine. And what we do with these is we just hang these out in the barn where it's well ventilated in the barn. We got a tunnel barn, so there's always a breeze blowing through there. But we put the little bitty ones on here, and if Nancy wants to throw some in a pot on a stew or cook something, she just goes out and grabs them. They will cure just like they are. You don't have to do anything else to them. Just hang them up in the dark, cool, ventilated space, and they'll be fine. And they'll last a couple of months like that. And once we get these cured and get them set, we'll put them over in the 4-week pantry in our onion drawers. We got some quite large onion drawers, 3 of them. So we'll fill them things up, and we'll put some in bags and share some. We should have enough onions to last us about 3 or 4 months, you know, with no problem.
At least.
At least. Well, anyway, we'll be back in about a week. We'll take it to the next step on this little onion journey, and we'll get these out of here and trim them out, show you how we do that, and get them ready for the pantry. So we'll see you back in about a week. Well, our Texas Legend onions have been in the drying racks for only 3 days. I would like to have had a whole full week out here to really dry these out really good, but we got 10 days of heavy rains coming, and I can't let these sit out in all that heavy rain and humidity, or we'll lose all our onions to rot. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go ahead and clean these down and get them ready, and I'll just take them into the 4-week pantry, and we'll spread them out in there on the tables and let them finish curing in there. But that's not a big deal either. We'll get them in there, and they only take about another 3 or 4 days, and they'll be ready to bag up. But this will be part of the process on curing our onions. So come on up and let's take a look at what we got inside these things. Okay, let's take a look at the onions. They look mighty pretty in here. They're starting to dry out pretty good. If you take a look at this one, you see the tops are browned. I'd like for them to, they're still kind of soft, see, and flexible. I would have liked for that to have been more rigid and crunchy, you know, but it's not gonna happen. So anyway, what we're gonna do to all the onions is I take the onion and I cut right above the top of the onion, about 1 inch above it. I just cut that top right off. Then I come to the bottom, I get the roots up, and I just kind of trim those roots right on off of there. And all I'm using is a pair of poultry shears. You know, these are cheap, and I consider them to be disposable. So after I use them a while and they're not just right, I just buy some more. But anyway, that's the process of how I trim the onion down. Then I just brush off some of this loose dirt, because remember, I've never washed these, and I never will. They never are subjected to water. And I leave all this paper skin right on here and let it cure with that on there. That's kind of helps to protect it. Okay, so that's what we want to get our onions cleaned up to today. As you can see on the top of it, see it's still wet. So that needs to cure out some more. The bottom's pretty dry, that's good. So all we gotta do is just get these all trimmed down, and we'll get them over to the 4-week pantry and let them start getting some air to them, okay? Let's get started. Well, we got her done ahead of the rain. So we got the onions all cleaned, and I got them spread out on the table here in our pantry, and we'll leave them here for a few more days. I got a whole bunch of these 25-pound onion bags on order. They just haven't arrived yet. But about the time they arrive, these should be dried out well enough to where we can put them up into bags and hang them. So we've got a whole bunch here that need to be bagged. I've got, 3 drawers on the bottom that are packed full, and then I just put a temporary piece of plywood on some sawhorses over here just to store up another big load of them till the bags come in. But all in all, we had a pretty good haul. These Texas Legends, and you take a look at some of these onions. I mean, they're man size. That's a nice onion. So we're going to enjoy these. I'm looking forward to sharing a lot of these with our family and our friends that come by, and load them up with a whole bunch of onions. So we thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this journey of the Texas Legend sweet yellow onions together with us. Thanks for watching, and I hope our videos brought some joy to your heart and a smile to your face. And so until me and Nancy and Bing Bing see you next time, always remember, by his hands we are fed. Give us, Lord, our daily bread. Amen.
Have a blessed day.